In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use Hexagon's pivot point. Currently, you see on here on our widget, it is centered on our object, and that's where the origin of our pivot point is on this object. Anytime you create a new object, most generally it will be in the center of the object. And if you wondering what the pivot point is used for, well, it's think of it as a I don't know, a cam or a fulcrum, or not a fulcrum, but an axle. I believe an axle would be best way to describe it. Anything that goes around an axle rotates around the axle, and that's kind of what a pivot point is. A Hexagon's pivot point is very easy to access. I can just right click to bring up my context menu, and at the very top of my context menu we have a set pivot point and a reset pivot point. So right now I'm going to go ahead and click set pivot point, and I'm just going to click down here, this bottom point. You can only set the pivot point to vertices or points. So now if we were going to rotate this cube, our center of rotation would be at that point. Okay, to reset the pivot point, I'll just bring up my context menu again and reset the pivot point, and it goes back to the center. If I were to scale in the Y direction right now, the bottom of our cube will go past the grid. But there may be times when you do not need for your object to scale in this way. So what I'll do is I'll set my pivot point down here at the bottom, and then when I scale in the y-axis, it will scale up from the pivot point. Let's reset that. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and show you a practical application for doing that. And I've got on Google, and I googled an image of a shampoo bottle. I'm going to tap my P key to go to the orthographic view, and I'm just going to go ahead and drag my cube up here. And this is not a real good image to use as reference, but for demonstration purposes it will work just fine. So if I was going to model this shampoo bottle, you can see as I scale it in the Y direction trying to get the height, it's going to go on down past the bottom. But I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to reset my pivot point, and I'll just set it down here, and then I'll scale up in the Y direction. As you can see, that works a lot better. If I wanted to scale that incrementally, I could just go over here into the properties panel in the Y direction box, and I could just put my cursor in there and then use my middle mouse button to scroll up and down, a little more accurate. And sometimes you may need to do that. Let's say I'm zoomed in here on the top. Well, I can't see my widget anymore, so I'll just go over here in the properties panel and scroll up and down to do that. I could highlight it and enter a value there. Let's just say 91 and hit enter. But to do it slowly. And we just didn't do it like that there. Okay, now let's go ahead and scale this out a bit in the X direction. Set our pivot point to right there, and then on the opposite side and scale in the X direction again. And then reset pivot point. Now I'm going to go in here and let's scale this out a little bit on the Z. Kind of guess on our width of our bottle there, and go back to the front view. Let's go ahead and go to the wireframe, and let's go ahead and add some slices here. I'm going to tap my X key and go tessellation by slice. Then I'm going to come over here to this edge, and I'm going to hold my shift key so it snaps the center. I'm going to click, click, and click, and then validate. Now I'm going to go to the point mode, and I'm going to set my pivot point right here, and I'm going to select this point, and then I'll just start to scale out. Go to this point, set pivot point, scale in the X, select this point, set pivot point, scale in the X. Let's go back to the flat shaded mode. So anyway, you can see what use that will have. It's pretty handy. So you may want to save your shampoo bottle file, and you'll just have to Google a image of a shampoo bottle if you want to make one. I will be using this reference image again in the next tutorial. I'll introduce you to the Gordon surface tool. But that's going to be it for this one, so we'll see you in the next one.